Hello and welcome to another Twitter Q&A with a Blackpool personality. This week we're joined by John Murphy, former Blackpool striker, now in the youth development. John, the club must hold a special plot in your mind.
Yeah, of course it does. Spent a good half of my career at Blackpool, so obviously it's a big part of my football life, and I enjoyed my time here. Some good memories, some good promotions, and I missed a couple of big ones, but a bit before. It was a bit after my time, but we had some good cup runs and stuff, so really enjoyable, yeah, when I look back fondly.
Alright, well the fans have been sending in their questions over Twitter, and we might as well get cracking. We've got James Daly asks your favourite Blackpool memory. Start it off.
Blackpool memory. I think there's a couple that stick in me. Obviously the goals at the Millennium Stadium. I was lucky enough to score in both the finals. I didn't manage to score in the League 2 playoff final, but we still won the game, so that was a good memory also. As for one, I haven't really got one. I don't think. It's mainly a couple. It's the goals at the Millennium Stadium, such a great stadium to play at, and I think there was 40,000 people there, so mainly them two.
And Matthew Haig's asked you to be a bit more specific, one particularly memorable goal for Blackpool.
The best goal I scored was Bristol Rovers away, and I don't think probably anyone will remember. I think we were losing 3-0, and I somehow managed to get it, and I turned and shot with my left foot from 20 yards and bent it in. I don't know how I'd done it to this day, but that was actually my best goal. The one, a particular one I remember was against Tranmere. It was a header, and I remember Brian Little saying it was one of the best headers you'll ever see. That was Tranmere at home. I can't remember what year and that, but I particularly enjoyed that one.
And you mentioned your Millennium Finals. Have you got a specific game side from them which sticks out? That's what Brian too wants to know.
I think there was a Luton away one when I scored a hat-trick. We went down there and we weren't fancied. I think it was a Tuesday night, and I think I managed to get a hat-trick, and Martin Bullock that night was unbelievable. I mean, I scored a hat-trick and didn't get man of the match. That's how good Bully was on that night. So I think I scored 4 hat-tricks in all, so they stick in my mind as memorable. And that, obviously the playoff final and the Cardiff games, they're always there.
And the majority of your time was spent either up front with Brett Ormerod or Scott Taylor. So Joe Averton's asked, out of the two, which one would you prefer your playing days with?
They were both similar, them, and completely different to me. They both did the mainstay of the running work, where I'd do the target man role, and they'd work off me. They'd look to get flicks off me. I'd look to get them in the channel for someone to cross it in. So they were both similar players, but we worked together. Both of us as partnerships. The two partnerships worked, and I'd like to think we did well together. I wouldn't like to single one out. Obviously Brett went on to play at a good high level, and I think Scott, did he go to Plymouth, I think, and he was angling for a move to Sheffield Wednesday. It didn't quite happen, but and I enjoyed playing with both of them. We got on well off the pitch as well as on it, which was important, and we knew each other's games inside out, and hopefully we'd try and cause defenders problems.
Obviously Brett went on to score that goal against Cardiff to take Blackpool to the Premier League. Robert Woods asked, what was he like specifically as a strike partner?
He looks the same now as he did when he was, it's funny because we're born on the same day, we're exactly the same age, because we were in training once, and we'd say youngest in the middle, and I'd look at Brett and he'd look at me. This is in the early days where all the other older players were older. And he'd say well, I'm 24, and I said, well, I'm 24, and he said, well, my birthday's October, and I'd say October, and he said, well, mine's the 18th, and I said, mine's the 18th, and we were born on exactly the same day. And for him to still been playing now, I mean, I stopped playing 6 years ago. I'd been made up to play, but he's still working his proverbials off to this day, and he's just stayed the same. He might have lost a little bit of pace of what he had, but his work rate was fantastic. He'd run, and he'd say after the game, I'm knackered, and I'd be like, thanks, Brett. He'd do the work he'd go through, and the way he used to work reminded me of Ian Rush playing for Liverpool years ago. The work rate, he was our first defender, Brett, and he'd harry, and he'd chase lost causes, and he was fantastic for that. He was a manager's dream. And also for me, he probably did too much work, where I worked hard, but I couldn't cover as much pitches as him just because of the way I was.
Yeah.
but he was great to play with.
And Brian too, he's asked another one here. Best manager, obviously there's plenty of your time that you work with.
Probably the major part of my career here, it would probably have to be Steve McMahon, because I didn't work that long with Colin, wasn't here that long, Larry wasn't here that long, and Nigel, we went down that year, so it'd probably be Steve McMahon. You know, on our day we were fantastic, but we were just inconsistent. I think if teams worked us out and worked hard against us, we didn't really have a plan B, and we struggled. If teams let us play, with the players we had, Bully and stuff, and Richie Wellens, we used to destroy teams, so it's probably Macca.
Well, now you're back at the club working with the youth team. Must be completely different.
As you can see, they're all a pain in the bum, but
No, the good lads, they're a pleasure to work with. You know, as I say, we're top of the league, so we're doing something right. We'd like to think they get our respect. You know, we treat them like adults, and if they work hard for us, we haven't got a problem with them. And in the main, I wouldn't ask the next question because half of them are stood here.
Well, one of the lads who was in these positions now is in the first team, Tom Barkhouse, and great talent. What do you make of him?
Tom's done well. I mean, I think he went on loan to Hereford, and I think he did well there. A difficult place to go for a young lad, away from home to the nether regions of wherever it is, down south somewhere. I've been a couple of times. It's not a nice place. But he went there and he scored goals. And then last year he went to Fleetwood, where I thought that's a great move. You know, they've got a good side, they've got good players, but it didn't quite happen for him. And this year he's come in, he's worked hard, and I was made up when he scored the winning goal. He's got pace to burn, and he's a threat against any defence.
Bill Edmonds asked finally, do you see many players making the step up now, similar to Tom?
Hopefully, but they've got a long way to go and they've got a lot to learn. And if they keep learning and keep working hard, they've got every chance.
Right, thanks for your time, John.